Alrighty, and we're back. But anyway, welcome to episode 2, guys. If you're here, I want to start by apologizing for however obnoxious that fire alarm was. Everything is fine here at my campus. I was thinking about re-recording, and then I decided against it because, that's life. Sometimes fire alarms get pulled. And as a result, we have to go and stand outside for absolutely no reason. Interesting story. We are in finals week. I am recording this on December 13th, and so today's the first day of finals. And apparently, someone did not feel like taking their final. And so what they did is they just changed our testing schedule to make up for the probably 10 minutes that we were outside, and now we had to take the finals anyway. But that kid is in trouble because we saw them on camera.
Students are reporting to our second period class. We will make an announcement to get released for your fourth period. You're reporting to your second period class, and we will make an announcement to release you to go to your next period. If you're in the CTE wing, stay away. You're going to be in the galley. We are not going to the CTE wing.
And there you go. So anyway, starting out here, a couple quick reminders. We're up to 2 team members. We got Bulbasaur and B-Drill. We are doing a Nuzlocke, so if a Pokemon faints, it is dead and cannot be used. It is also generational, which means that a Pokemon used here in red cannot be used. Oh, I thought I had it to... I'll have to switch it again. Alright, so it's meant to be set on set. I guess maybe the setting didn't keep when I started a new game. So anyway, that's a quick fix, but I didn't switch anyway, so we're going to say that that's fine. So anyway, we are using rare candies, as you saw, but I am level capped, and so Onyx there was level 14, so I was able to raise my Pokemon to level 14. If they had been above that at the start of the battle, they would not be usable. I'll go ahead and do that, and boom. Okay. So, I apologize for that. I thought it would just... I don't know why I thought it, but I thought that it would just stay from one save file to the next, but apparently that's not how life works. Anyway, I think I had a couple encounters left on that previous route, but I don't remember how many, so don't get a Pokemon there. 10 Pokeballs. Pokeballs are the only things that I'm allowed to buy from Marts outside of rare candies. I cannot use any weapon, or cannot use any items except for Pokeballs, rare candies, TMs if, and this is a big if, I find them out in the world, or I get them from gym leaders. Cannot go to, what is that, Vermilion City, I think, that has the big Pokemart, and go and buy Flamethrower for all of my Pokemon. Alright, it doesn't work that way. On top of that, I don't think I mentioned it in the previous video, I'm not looking stuff up either. One, I'm too lazy to do that, which is why I have certain rules, such as like the 10 rerolls per area. I'm not even sure if there was a Pokemon I could catch outside of Viridian Forest there. And so that's why I'm not too butthurt about losing or giving up my last couple encounters there. But also, I'm just too lazy. I don't want to go, and I think like Bulbapedia has everything that you could ever ask for. But I'm not going to go look stuff up, which includes TM locations, also sadly means I'm probably going to have to teach Flash to one of my Pokemon to get through the rock tunnel. If it was Leaf Green or Fire Red, I would feel confident in my ability to get through that tunnel without Flash. But this game, in my run through, I was fumbling around in there, and I lost like 3 Pokemon, and it was bad. So I'm probably going to do Flash. HMs have to be taught to... I mean, if an HM is taught to a Pokemon, that Pokemon now becomes a team member, meaning that I cannot use that Pokemon on the next playthrough, blue or yellow. And so that's where I think some of this, it's going to start to get a little bit tricky. I'm hoping it gets tricky, right? Like, do I have an HM slave on my team, or do I sacrifice move slots? Man, Rattata hits like a... Oof. It's hard. Anyway, do I have a Pokemon that I teach all of my HMs to, or do I teach them to my Pokemon? I don't know. Another life moment. Just realized my battery is about to die. And I apologize for that bell again. That's our passing bell. In case you're not aware, I am at school. I teach high school history, mainly U.S. history, although my first couple years I also taught a really cool world history class. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoy my job. Whew, nice. Got our Ivysaur. Alright, I'm going back to heal because I'm pretty sure we are beat up. So anyway, I guess I could level them a little bit and make this easier. Yeah, that's the thing. Not a professional Nuzlocker, in case you haven't picked that up yet. I did do a practice run, my first Nuzlocke ever. And it wasn't even like I didn't do the full thing. It was just kind of practicing and seeing what rules I liked and didn't like, and came up with a couple on my own, I think. But yeah, it just kind of dawned on me. I don't want to overlevel though. Let's go to 19. I think 19's good. Because again, self-enforced rule, if a Pokemon goes over that level cap, I can no longer use them, right? Like I can't, if my Ivysaur becomes level 22 before I fight Misty, I can't use it, and I'm gonna need them. So anyway, just little things like that I have to keep in mind. Maybe you guys learned some stuff from this. Probably not. Maybe we learned from some mistakes, some things to avoid. Oh, you know what? I just realized I don't have my timer. Let's go ahead and do 25 minutes. These are episodes. Again, a big part of that is my purpose behind recording these. I'm going to be dubbing over them. I think that's the right use of that word, with some U.S. history stuff. And so if you're watching this and you're just like, oh, the Pokemon Nuzlocke is cool and all, but I would love to learn some stuff. The focus of that, my main class, I teach U.S. history. And so I'm going to be moving through Unit 1, which starts in Gilded Age. So late 1800s, early 1900s. And I'm going to move through the TEKS. I'm from Texas, so that's the Texas Essential Knowledge Standards. And the idea is by the end of it, you have learned everything and more what you would need to be successful on our STAR test, which is the end of year exam. So if you're interested in that, like I said, it's going to be the exact same footage. the conversation's different. And I will say those will be more structured. This, if I'm being honest, is just an excuse to play some Pokemon. That's what it's all about. Christmas break is coming up here soon, or holiday break. We got 4 days left of school. And so I was like, you know what? I'm in a good place. I have all my work is scheduled. I know what I feel confident now as a teacher. This is my 4th year, and it's time to take on a pet project, if you will. And so that's what this is all about. Now, we do have some important questions that we're about to have to ponder. Do I buy the Magikarp and add it to my team, or do I wait until I get the old rod, which is at the 3rd gym? And then also, I wonder what we're going to get here. Ooh, did I over level? Oh no, I think I'm going to knock it out. But if I Vine Whip, it'll be not very effective. No. Okay, well, that happens. It's unfortunate. Oh well. So anyway, do we... This demon has Poison Sting, which isn't very strong. Let's see if we can... I want a Zubat. Yes! I love Zubat. Well, not Zubat. Zubat is awful. But I love Golbat. And one of, probably my top 6 favorite Pokemon is Crobat. Crobat is amazing. Oh. Awkward. This is going to be a pain in the butt. Okay, well... Am I going to lose my... This is what I'm talking about, right? Not a Nuzlocke, not very good at this stuff. Am I going to lose my Beedrill? I forgot how strong Leech Life is in this game. Normally, Dragoo, right? So, for those of you who don't know, there was a real-life Dracula. His name was Vladimir Dragul, which actually has nothing to do with bats. Dragul is the dragon, is what it translates to. But Transylvania was a real place. Vladimir was a real person, and he was absolutely ruthless. And so the stories of vampires, not that I necessarily think he was a real vampire, although if vampires exist, they absolutely exist in New Orleans. Rant for another day. Anyway, really interesting character. He was the king of Transylvania, obviously, but more importantly, he was stuck between the Prussian and the Ottoman Empire, and so very similar to if you watch Naruto, the backstory of the Akatsuki, right? So the Akatsuki started, they were in this kind of middle war-torn country. When the two major empires decided they were going to fight, they would fight in Transylvania. And so Vladimir was actually trained as a janissary for the Ottoman Empire. That's how he got his military training. If you don't know what janissaries are, basically they were child slaves, so they were taken as kids and forced into the military for the Ottoman Empire. But even more than that, I don't know where I'm going. Anyway, even more than that, the Janissaries were the elite guard for the king of the Ottoman Empire. And so he had special training. You can think of him kind of like special services type deal. And anyway, when he finally returns home, I'm just curious what these are. I don't even know. I'm not going to go through and grab all the items. Just those ones. I'm glad one of them's a TM. I have no idea what it is, though. Anyway, when he returned home, he put all those skills to use. And he had absolutely avoidable battle. He had absolutely ruthless tactics. And so the stories of Dracula come from some of the just awful, awful things that he was doing to both Prussians and Ottomans who were coming into his country and conducting war. In fact, there's a particular story he would very commonly capture people, and he would take basically entire trees and he would sharpen the top of it and grease them down, and he would strap you to the tree and leave you there. And essentially what would happen is eventually gravity would take over as your muscles started to fail you, and it would slowly impale you from the bottom out of your mouth. And as the story goes, he had attacked, I believe it was the Ottomans, but an Ottoman camp, a military camp, regardless of who it was, and tens of thousands of soldiers he had strung up like that, and then just left them there. And the way war used to be conducted, if I was the commander of Army A and I was attacking you, I would announce that, right? And so I'd be like, hey, Commander B, I'm coming to attack you. And then the defender would choose a location and the time. And so we'd meet on the field of battle at that particular time. And that's just how people used to fight for whatever reason. And so anyway, the reason we know about that story is because the commander on the other side wrote letters back to their king talking about the horrors of what they saw. And so as those rumors start to spread, and the fear that Vladimir Dragul started to have, that's where the story of Dracula comes from. But Transylvania, real place, actually a lot of crazy stories coming from there. There was another one, I can't remember her name, but she was a noble lady who was known for taking in like young women, peasant girls, if you will, and she was supposedly teaching them how to become ladies, and then she was using her connections to marry them off to noble lords and whatnot. Well, it came out after the fact. She was killing them, and her requirements, which isn't unusual for the time, but the expectation is that the women, the young girls, they would be virgins, and she was killing them and bathing in their blood. And the idea was that virgin blood keeps you young. And so again, with all those different things happening in Transylvania, that's where we get the lore of vampires, which I've always found pretty interesting. So anyway, there's kind of a little history lesson for you, impromptu. So if you like that kind of stuff, maybe check out the other web series. That'll be a little bit more planned, less mumbly and stuff like that. But yeah, I love history, man. Love history. Not even just like, I don't know. Like, I really like how Texas does U.S. history. Because like I know as a teacher, or maybe if you have teacher people in your family and whatnot, there's always that kind of fear teaching to the test type deal, which I mean, I can understand. I get a little bit. Um, but our teats, like, they really do focus for the most part. Like, there's some stuff I go, why do we have to learn this? Um, but for the most part, it's like we're learning the cool stuff, really important key moments in U.S. history, and I get a kick out of it. So if you're interested in history, you like that stuff. Like I said, the starting focus is on what do you need to be successful for a star. I would like to imagine that history is history in the sense that what I teach my students here in Texas is what you need to know if you're from Ohio or California or anywhere else. Um, so hopefully it's useful to everybody, but not even going to pretend to know what the standards are for other states. There's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes of being a teacher. And so if you are a student watching this, um, maybe show some appreciation. Like, I can't stress it enough. Um, there's a lot that goes into it, especially if you want to be good. Like, if you want to, like, I want my students to enjoy my class, right? And so there's a lot of outside work that gets put into making fun, engaging lessons and stuff. And so if you have teachers that you really enjoy, um, tell them. Like, if you're a person that just, like, you're comfortable just being verbal about it, awesome. If not, leave a note. Like, write a little note, leave it on their door. I love getting them. In fact, giving a little quick glimpse, I've been teaching here a couple years, and I get little notes all the time. And it's just anytime I'm having a bad day or I feel stressed about something, I take a minute to look at my wall, and it reminds me, I am doing good and I'm making an impact and stuff. Dome fossil. I think that is Kabuto, which is the only one of those two that I would actually use. Almanite is just bleh. Anyway, so rant over there. Just appreciate your teachers. Yeah. So anyway, we chose not to buy Magikarp. Oh, I gotta add Zubat. Okay. So we're up to 3 team members. We're looking good. Alright. Dragul's debut. Let's go. I want something. Not that. Oh, it's still a Zubat, isn't it? That sucks. Okay, never mind. We don't use Zubat. We wait until it's evolved into a Golbat before we use it. In fact, we're gonna protect it. Like I said, Zubat, Crobat is definitely top 6. Second shot. Here we go. And this is a bad match. Although I guess they're all technically bad matches, aren't they? I'm really weak to flying. Oh no! I hate my life. Alright, again, another example. Not a professional Nuzlocker. Not very good at this. Never going to catch Spearow. That's going to be the cursed Pokemon for this series, I think. The running joke, if you will. So anyway, if you made it this far, out of curiosity, what was your favorite subject in class and school? And if you had a teacher who made a big impact on your life, who was it and why. So you can and you can answer as much of that or as little of that as you want, but just out of curiosity, you know. Because, and I'm sure I'll go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off now. I hated school. Like the fact that I'm a teacher is mind-boggling to my family. Um, but yeah, I did not enjoy K through 12. College was all right. Um, but yeah, never thought I'd be a teacher. Um, glad I became one. But it's not until, later in life that you start reflecting.
Teachers and students, please pardon this interruption. At this time, teachers, we are going to dismiss to go to fourth period. Again, students are to report to their fourth period classes. Teachers, please take your fourth period attendance, and we will make another announcement in about 15 minutes. Again, all students are reporting to their fourth period class. Teachers, please take attendance, and we'll come back on in about 15 minutes.
Okay, I'm hoping that I caught that. Otherwise, you know that we're switching classes here. Anyway, yeah, it's not until later in life that you start to reflect on stuff and you realize the big impact that certain people have on your life, and to give appreciation back to that. It was actually a really interesting conversation to get in contact with those teachers. Because, like, for me, my two big ones, well, one's a teacher, one is he was a volunteer for a program that I was in my youth. Um, but that would be Kelly Ladd. Go ahead and name drop. But she was she was all of my extracurriculars by the time I got midway through my freshman year. But I don't know how, like, now that I'm a teacher, I have no idea how she landed this gig, because it's fantastic. For the love of God.
Students, if you have items in the CTE wing is now back open. If you need to get your things, please grab your things quickly from the CTE wing if you left those in those classrooms. And then all students should be reporting to their fourth period classes at this time.
Cool. Again, I apologize for all of the announcements, but such is life. So anyway, yeah. So now that I'm a teacher, I have no idea how she landed this gig, because it is fantastic, right? So she was the theater teacher. So all of the school productions, that was her. She ran newspaper, yearbook, and then she also did speech and debate, which is what I did, right? And so those are all extracurriculars. Those are things that students choose to do, right? Which by definition generally means they're fun. Like the students who take them, they're taking it because they want to be there. Yes, goal back. So anyway, big impact, right? You wouldn't know it now, but when I was going through K through 12, I was a hothead. I was constantly getting into trouble, constantly getting into fights. A lot of it, admittedly, I would say a good portion of it was my fault, in the sense that I allowed things to bother me really quickly. And so, like, it really got to the point, especially when I got to high school, you could look at me funny and we were going to fight, right? Like, it was that kind of mentality. Admittedly, I grew up inner city for most of my life. Not that that's necessarily an excuse, but if you are inner city, you know what I mean by that, right? Like, it is a different beast entirely. And so, grew up inner city. single parent household, all that stuff, right? And so I didn't really start to develop coping mechanisms or, learn how to control my emotions until way later in life. Um, and so one thing I did realize by the time it was my freshman year of high school, we had moved out of the city and into kind of a smaller town environment. And I remember the conversation very distinctly because my mom had bought a house. My mom and my stepdad. And my mom, no joke, was like, "All right, Michael, I need you to control your behavior because we bought this house and I can't have you getting kicked out of school because there's only one high school here. It is not like the city where you can get in trouble here and then there's another school, within mileage, right? Like you get one school." And so I had to kind of change my mentality and stuff. And one of the big things that I kind of reflected on is that if I could just explain why I was so gosh darn angry all the time, maybe I wouldn't have to fight. And so that's what drew me to speech and debate to begin with, was the idea, like, I just wanted to learn how to talk, right? And so I joined, things were fine. Anytime you join an organization, the first, first 2 months of it probably was just practice. Like I was learning how to write cases and how to do research and a bunch of really valuable skills. Don't get me wrong, but there was no competition. And Mrs. Ladd, she was a theater speech teacher. Like that was kind of her focus. And so meaning debate, like she was good. She was a fantastic coach, just across the board, phenomenal woman. But debate wasn't her forte. And so when she was trying to show us what debate, like a debate round looked like, her example was nationals. And so like when you start talking about anything on the national level, like that's the best of the best of the best, right? And so I'm watching these, and the way national debate works, when you get to the final rounds, everybody at the tournament is in this giant auditorium watching the rounds happen. And so I got it into my head, ooh, crit hitting machine, huh? So I had gotten it into my head that this is just what debate looked like, right? And I was not ready to get in front of anybody, let alone an auditorium full of people, and talk. So we're setting up for our first tournament, and I'm in my head, right? I'm so nervous. Everything is just like I'm a bundle of nerves. And so I just realized I probably need to switch my Pokemon. My level cap is 24. So anyway, I bundle of nerves. I get there, go to my first round, and we show up at another school, like just a normal school. Like I don't know why I thought how I thought, right? But we show up at a normal school. I go to my first round. Ooh, we're gonna go a little bit longer so I can finish the story. Show up into a classroom. It's my opponent's mom, and my judge. So the way debate works, you have the affirmative and you have the negative, right? The affirmative is like whatever the resolution is, whatever the topic is, they are saying yes to this topic. We should do this thing. The negative, of course, does the opposite. The affirmative speaks first. So I was the affirmative for my very first round. You would think I would be relieved that I show up and it's just, those three people. Well, unfortunately, I was so nervous at this point that I go to the front of the room and I go to start reading my paper, right? Because at that point, I'm not just getting up in front of people and talking. So I was reading from my my sheet, and as soon as I went to say the first word, like The Exorcist, just projectile vomit everywhere. Now, I considered myself kind of a hard kid, right? Like inner city, look at me funny, we're gonna fight. I was a rough and tumble kid. That is the second to last time that I've ever cried. I ran out of the room, ran to the bathroom, crying my eyes out in the stall, right? Just a mess. And this is the first time my teacher has ever taken me out of the school for anything, right? And I was a troublemaker. And so now that I'm a teacher, I can only imagine what was running through Mrs. Ladd's head as she realized I wasn't showing up to my rounds anymore. She was probably like, oh crap, this, like, I have unleashed this demon onto the school. He is out here lighting fires or something. Awful, right? Probably scared. Well, I don't know any of that. I'm just assuming because that's what I would do as a teacher now. What I can say is she came, like she found out I was in the bathroom and still crying. Like I hid in there for the rest of the day. And if you do speech and debate, you know that a tournament goes all day, right? Like we showed up after school, so we left early or whatever, so probably around 4 o'clock, and then you'll be there.
Teachers, we are holding our students at the moment in 4th period. We are holding our students in 4th period.
You'll be there until like at 10, 11, whatever at night. I hid in the bathroom the entire day. So anyway, when she finally found out where I was hiding, she came into the boys' bathroom, heard me crying, would not leave me alone, right? She was pestering. And finally she said, look, I'm not going to leave until you promise that you're going to come back, right? Like you're going to compete again, you're going to keep doing speech and debate, and I'm not leaving until you tell me that you're going to do this. And so I was like, and in my head, I was like, I'm just going to tell you whatever I have to tell you to get you to leave me alone. But when I say life-changing moment, appreciate your teachers, because staying in speech and debate, that was probably the single biggest thing that set me onto the course that I'm on. And I am incredibly thankful where I'm at in life. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. And if you do, maybe leave me a comment. I'm looking forward to seeing what this ends up being, and I'm enjoying playing so far. So thank you.